Three, two, one. What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze tonight?
What's going on in the House of Craze tonight? Well, it's just the two of us tonight. We've been split up. And so we're going to be talking about should comic book creators play with toys? And we're going to explain that topic in the next few minutes for the next hour. So stay tuned.
Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the Dreamer, Medina, and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I'm your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Vera. And I am with
George the Dreamer Medina. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze. It is Tuesday, November 19th, 8 p.m. here in the East Coast, 7 p.m. where Sammy resides. What up, Will? And Daphne, what's going on in the house? So thank you guys for joining us tonight. We usually have a guest in the second half of the show, but our guest is not here tonight. It's just going to be Sammy and I talking shop. And today we're going to be talking about investments that indie creators make. And some of them happen to be, whether it's toys or whatever. And we're going to be talking about whether it's a good idea to do so or not. So make sure if you're in the chat, let us know what you think. Let's talk about it. But before we do that, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Comment, like, do all that fun stuff. Share the video. Let people know we are doing this. And this is live right now. And for everybody watching this on the rewatch, thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to comment up in there. KC, the Sledge Storyteller. Carrie, what up, man? How you doing? This will be good. Yeah. We're gonna chop it up. We're gonna chop it up. But before we do that, what's going on, Sam? How you been, brother? What's happening in your neck of the woods?
Man, what's happening? What's up, KC? Let's see. Kickstarters finally went out to everybody.
Nice.
So you should be getting it in the mail. Thank you for posting. And if you did back the Kickstarter in this issue, my boy Johnny Syphex has a feature in the book. If you missed it, go back and read it.
And as a matter of fact, I got mine and I got his too. So there it is.
Nice. Outstanding. And there's a QR code in there. So if you want your art featured in future issues of There's Nails in My Toilet, just tag me on There's Nails in My Toilet. Share your rendition of duty. If you get the books, post a picture of you with the books and tag it and leave a comment on why you like the books. And you'll be mentioned on the website, and honorable mentions will also be featured in the book as well.
There it is.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yes, this is the one from last year. Finally went out. I fell victim to this to everything I was against dearly. But so it's pretty dope. That's what I've been working on, and I've been booking my shows for next year. I'm working on a project right now that'll be published next year. Not through me. So a secret project. I'll let you guys know what that is. I just finished another secret project that will be featured next year again, not through me. So there's some things you're going to see duty in different places. It's going to be fun. So a lot of good things coming. And then I start working on issue 7 next week. So I'll be wrapping up this project this weekend, and I start issue 7 next week. So I will be launching a launch page sometime for March. But I'm not going to launch the campaign until the book is completed 100%. So this way I don't run into the same issues I ran into last year.
There you go. There you go. So you check all that stuff out. Check it out for sure.
Yeah.
I'm actually still working on what I'm going to be doing for next year as far as shows go. I definitely will be attending shows. I probably won't be, I don't know if I'm going to be exhibiting or attending as many as I will be exhibiting. So we'll see how that works out. But for everything else, you guys can check out my website. Definitely check out the second part of my graphic novel, The Adventures of Wonder Dog. It's on my website right now. So check it out. Go to getyourmeds.com for that sort of stuff. And yeah, man, it's gonna be an interesting 2025. I have a few things that I want to work out for next year. So let's see where it goes. I have a new story that I'm hoping to have out for next year. I may hit the Kickstarter game late in the year next year, or maybe in the middle of the year next year for my the shameless plug story. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be fun. I have Mr. Joseph Olesko, who's an incredible artist. He's working on that for me. So big shout out to Joseph. Thank you so much for coming on board and doing that with me. So I'll be sharing my stuff. Check me out on Instagram. I'll have updates on you all the time. That's pretty much my that's pretty much the one that I go to, man. Instagram's the one that I go to. There's so many. Blue Sky. There's Substack. People are writing stuff on Substack. Like it's just
I can't,
stuff, bro. I'm like,
there's so many that came and went.
Oof.
And became defunct, right? There's so many. Remember that one that there was all over Facebook? It was an indie one. It just came and went. That one died out. There's so many. I just can't catch up.
There's a lot, dude. There's a lot. And we've always had that conversation about Patreon, possibly doing something on there, but it's like you got to decide what the content is going to. It's all about content, right? So, and it's time. It's about time. It's about the time to put into doing all these things.
I stick to the three: Facebook, Twitter, X, and Instagram. Because I found
X is dying.
X is crazy because I found that a lot of the people that know Duty or know is through Twitter, through X. At conventions, I follow you on Twitter. I follow you on X. So that works for me tremendously. I have a few on Instagram, and then Facebook is really about networking.
Well, TikTok is the other one, right? So you have
TikTok, I have TikTok,
right? Yeah, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. You have to stick with the ones where you actually get engagement and leave the rest. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. So but again, it's all about the content, and you gotta make time.
I don't use Reddit. I haven't been able to figure out Reddit unless you pay. You got to earn points and you got to do all this stuff, and it's just so complicated. So I stopped using Reddit. Even though I used to have nice conversion with Reddit, it just got too complicated, and I don't have the time for that.
Yeah, and then for this kind of stuff, you have the Discord servers and stuff. Like there's just a lot, dude. There's a lot. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately for us, for example, we target a younger audience, and so our audience is gonna be in some of these newly discovered, newly launched. TikTok is huge for like our demographic. Kids.
I started breaking into Twitch with the art channel because I had a lot of youngins that follow me through Twitch, but I haven't been consistent there because that requires a lot of investment. It's just the time. It's a lot of time.
Hey Lou, I haven't got the time for complicated. Yes. Yeah, man. That's what I like about YouTube, dude. It's simple. Create your video, go live, stream, go. It's one. Monetizing on this thing is a different story. That's a whole different ballgame. But as far as like the content itself, we commit to it once a week, and here we are. You know what I'm saying? And obviously you have your channel and I have my channel that we put our stuff on also, but for the most part, this is where you can find us both. So yeah,
man. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. I just been grinding. I had made a decision. I was like, what? Next year, it's about broadening Duty's reach and tapping into audiences that would not necessarily see the character or the project. Yeah. And so I'm working on projects and with other publishers that you would not have seen Duty with. So it's good. It's good for exposure. And so I'm excited about that. And I'm hoping to build from there. So a lot of next year's really the hustle. This past year was really about building an audience in Texas. And now next year is like maintaining that existing base, but then trying some new things. I got invited to do some horror cons from promoters that feel like Duty will have a great, time or would do well at the events. So I'm going to try my hand at HorrorCon. So I've been working on Duty horror characters and all that stuff, but based on Duty's monsters. I already got the trading cards and all that stuff. So I'm going to try a lot of new things. I got invited to do an anime show. I'm still on the fence about that. This promoter believes that Duty would do well at their show. So we'll see. So just I'm experimenting next year with Reach.
Yeah. I like YouTube Live. Don't forget about it. That's right.
Forget about it.
Yeah, man. No, a lot of that too is that, man. Like in this year, even for me, like the expo or going to these conventions and posting about the conventions I'm at, a promoter reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, you want to be in my show next year?" So got invited to that. So it is. I mean, all of this is about exposure. All of this is about being out there and showing what you have. And hopefully, it's like that movie, right? If you build it, they will come. End of Zed is in the house. What up, Eddie? What's going on, my man? Big shout out to you. He's got the End of Zed Kickstarter live right now, so check it out. He was our sponsor last week. Damn, it's been a week already. But yeah, check it out. He
got funded. Yes,
he's funded, dude. He's funded, so he's ready to rock. We're going into stretch goals now. So big shout out to Eddie. I'm here to see the footage of Sammy live at the Marquee Theater.
Oh, I don't have it. Yeah, thank you for next time. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes, we made it. Yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, no. So today we're going to be talking about. Talk about exposure, right?
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about how far do indie creators go to get that exposure, and is it a good idea to go that far? In some cases, toys, for example, think something outside of comics. And so, is it a good idea? Should we do that? And you were the originator of this topic today, Sam. So tell me a little bit about why you came up with this topic and why you feel like we should be discussing this among our peoples.
Because I've been seeing more and more, the risk taking, right? And I'm all for risk taking. Damn, no Sammy video first back sheet. Boys, stuff back up. So
now
I've seen a lot more indies take these risks, right? But it's a big financial investment, and it's already tough breaking in to independent comics, right? It's very tough in that aspect because everybody relies on crowdfunding and shows, but don't really have distribution or major publishing or reach, right? So now we want to go and try to capitalize. I lost George. So now we want to capitalize on and try our foot in a new arena, which is a whole different world, which requires a whole different set of skills and networking, right? So when I think about some of the things that I hear when I hear people taking those investment or those risk taking, what I don't hear are the back end stuff, the pre-work, right? The legwork, like connecting, going to the toy shows, building a network, connecting with vendors, connecting with suppliers and buyers and distributors, and try to build that to. I think what we do is we make this huge investment, we store it in our home, and we're hoping that we're going to have that conversion. And so I'm like, if you're already stressed out in the comic game, why go that route? I've done prototypes, right? For me, it's my way of gauging. And I use that as a way for long-term. I said, so if this prototype is appealing to the audience, long-term investments, this is something I'll keep in mind long-term when I'm in a position to do so. But I've never really gone full force and taken the plunge because, when I went on AI, right? So here's just one example, right? So I asked AI, I said, what is the cost involved in it, right? So the cost to make your own action figure, it depends on the complexity, the design, the quantity, and the manufacturing method. But you're looking at a minimum of between $5 to $12 per figure if you're doing 5,000 pieces or more. That number increases if you're just doing 1,000, right? And I think the minimum threshold is usually 1,000, unless you found some independent somewhere and it's going to be missing some things. But just on that, for 5,000 pieces, if you're doing an average between $5 to $12 a figure, right, you're looking at a huge investment, right? So, and what I've seen also, based on what I've learned throughout the years, if you're going to go that route, if you're doing just resin without all articulation and you just want to figure and say it's a 6-inch figure and the minimum is 1,000, right? You're going to pay close to 20 grand or more, right? Because you got to go through prototyping and all this other stuff, and so there's a whole big process behind it. So what that does, when you think about, you're under duress already in the independent comic game. Now you're going to add an extra level of stress to you trying to figure out how to offload this stuff and recoup your investment, but all that back end stuff wasn't secured. So that's my thing, is like, we've been a show, we talk about, we keep it real. Is that the best use of your money and time if you haven't broke the mold in the comic game, right? So that's why I brought that up.
Yeah. Lou says it's okay, Eddie, and KOTB are still at it. Creators want to jump without building an audience that can even support it. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think, but for the sake of the show, let's play a little, what up, Will? Play a little devil's advocate, right? So like, yes, while you're right, you do need to do that research. If you are really trying to go into, say, for example, toys, right? And you want to go into toys, yes, you should do all of that research like you talked about. What does that have to say? Most indies can barely sell 100 physical books. All my campaigns, and I've yet to do that, right? Now, but here's the thing, dude. Like, we're going, and I lost Sam. We're going to do what we're going to do as far as creators. It's what we do. We shouldn't even be doing comics. There's really no money in making comics. I mean, say what you want. I love comics. But let's be real. How much money can you really make in a comic book? You know what I'm saying? Unless you're selling tons of copies, you have marketers who want to put ads in your books and all that other stuff. There's really no money in it, right? It's all, we do it because we love it. Some of us do it because, yeah, we do eventually want to make the money. And we figure if it's out there long enough, if somebody picks it up, it could be turned into a movie, it could be turned into something, and we can make the money. I think when you jump into doing toys and stuff like that, I think it's the same mindset, right? Hey, maybe the toys will sell the comic, and maybe I can make something out of this stuff. Now, and again, this is what I say. I agree with you, right? You do have to do all that research before you jump into that, because it is a lot of money, dude. That's a lot of money that you got to get into to do this thing. Is it worth it? For me personally, no. Am I going to go out there and launch a toy line of Wonder Duck? No. Would I love to? Hell freaking yeah, dude. Of course. Is there a way to do it cost effectively? Probably. But you got to do that research. You have to have the right connections. You got to talk to the right people. Maybe do some favors. What's William saying here?
First, this is, most of these can barely sell 100 physical copies. All my campaigns, I got to do that.
Artists and creators jump on day one thinking they deserve their 1,000 pay. 50 artists thinking there are 500 artists and mad they can't get work. Lots of people need a wake up call and be realistic, and got to build a following platform to make money.
Yeah,
that's the key. You got to build a platform. When we started this, we went in there, printed out 500 copies. Nobody knew who the hell we were, right? But we did it. Why? Because we love to do this crap.
Yeah.
and we're still
the game was different back then.
The game was different
back then, because we were both of those copies like this, right? And they were eating it up because we were the first unknown independents with full color gloss copy comics, right? And they didn't know who the hell we were, and they were like, no, and they were eating up our stuff, and they were just boom, 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 boom. The game's different now. I mean, the market's saturated, right? It's gotten a lot more challenging. Yeah. The convention circuit has changed as well. It's become more pop centric, right? It's not very comic centric.
Well,
so you have to expand,
right? Cosplay, has taken over.
Mm-hmm. So everything has changed. Yeah. So given that the landscape has changed dramatically, and you haven't figured out the magic pill that's going to break the mold for your brand and your property, why try to dip your toes in an arena that you have no education on, right? Because it requires and most independents don't want to be businessmen, women, right? They just want to be creatives. The toy line requires a whole different set of skills than comics. And it requires a lot of networking and a lot of pre-work.
Yeah, KC. So Kerry says, what keeps me going is the promoters I've met, along with fellow indie creators with help and insights. I think, Kerry, and before you go into William, because William, I want to, so to Kerry's point, when I say you're not going to make money in this, I'm not saying stop doing it. Not at all. Right. do it because you love it, though. Do it
Right.
because you love it, and that's going to keep you going. Because the money's not going to keep you going. Because when you realize you can't make money in this thing, you're going to walk out real quick. Because you're going to realize this. You got to do it because you love it. You absolutely love to do this thing. And then Will says something. Says, to be honest, if you want a legit comic, it's breaking even at best on the money. If you want to make big dollars, make borderline porn comics. Shit.
Oh,
Comics with TNA doing 30K Kickstarter. Sadly, dude, I saw a comic book. One of the guys, we've had him on the show. His comic made $39,000.
Jesus.
One of the guys that we had on the show. But to William's point, it is borderline. You know what I mean? Like, it's very seductive. It's big boobs. You know what I'm saying? 39 G's, bro. 39 G's. It's insane. Daphne says, my accountant telling me I am not a business was very feeling. Now I don't have to worry about it. Right? It freed you up. Now you're just doing freeing. I said feeling. Now you're just doing it because you love it.
Whoa, feelings.
Now you're like, now
right. I mean, you look behind me. You look behind me. I got a Duty bust, right? I got I got a Duty plush doll, and I got some Duty figures, all prototypes, right? I got prototypes, and it's me gauging, and I use it to get feedback, right? I'm not going mass production, but what I'm doing is testing market appeal, right? And then when I have an audience with the right people, I can say, well, here's some prototypes of what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts, right? And then use that as a starting point to build a conversation and build towards the future. But I'm smart enough to know there's no way in today's market with inflation and gas prices and rents and groceries and all that stuff that I'm going to go and pull out 20 grand to when I have no distribution, I have no vendor partnerships, I have no buyers that are interested. I didn't build that demand for it.
Yeah, another category that makes money is webtoon comic going into print. There's a lot of webtoon comics I never heard of making 30K.
Yeah.
But you know what it is with webtoons, and webtoons is a tough cookie to crack. But once you crack it, obviously 30K seems to be the reward. That's tough. Webtoons is tough. It's not easy to get on webtoons and webtoons got all the anime and stuff like that. I think a lot of that, you'll see a lot of that on webtoons too. And I think if I was an artist, I think I would jump on webtoons. And I say that because I'm not an artist, right? Because you as an artist and Daphne as an artist, I'm sure you disagree. It's not as easy as I'm an artist, so I'm going to make money in webtoons. I'm sure it's not.
Nah,
but
you got to do work.
No, but exactly. But that's the thing. See, for me as a writer, I can write the stories, but I can't produce the visuals as quickly as I can write them because I have to pay somebody to do that. And to William's point, there are a lot of artists out there who are charging top dollar and they haven't really established themselves in the industry yet, but they're asking for that top dollar because everybody's asking for the top dollar. So they feel like I deserve that top dollar, even though they really haven't done anything in the industry yet. But we're battling with that too. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough. I mean, listen, it sounds like a Debbie Downer show, but no,
it's a cautionary tale.
It's just real though, right? This is what really happens.
That's it.
It's you know what I mean? So yeah,
I root for the guys that have the conviction and the passion, but you would need more than that, right? You need a business model, right? You know, you
need a fan base. You need the fan base. You need the people who are going to open up their wallets and say, I want that.
That's the first thing, right? So everybody knows I made a huge investment and I went to Licensing Expo, and that's the first thing they said was, how many units have you sold? What's the demand for your product, right? You have an appealing product, but do you have an existing demand, right? So you need to come to the table with something before you make that, before anyone makes an investment in you. They got to see that there's an appeal for it, right? Yeah. And so you got to start small scale and build there. But one of the things I would recommend is just say, you know what, put out a survey, right? And then say, look, I'd like to make this investment, whatever. I'm taking pre-orders. If I reach 100 pre-orders, I will produce it in mass production, right? So you do a pre-order where, it goes into a holding pattern. And then if you meet that goal, you go to production, you don't, everybody gets their money back. No, no harm, no foul, right? Then this way, now you have something tangible, right? But they're protected, you're protected, everybody, but now you have something, if you're going to go that route, but you need something that's going to tell you this is the right investment to make because it's an investment.
Yeah, you know, the irony in that too is that, right, these people will ask you, so what is your fan base? How many units have you sold? And they buy, say we like it. We like how much you sold. We like what you're doing. They take your product and then they want to change it because they feel like they can sell more.
Yes.
It's crazy, right? They're like, how much have you sold? I've sold this much. Oh, that sounds great. Let me take it and change it. It's like, but what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? But it happens. The other thing for that too, and for me personally, it's the reason why, you know, Kickstarter, I don't jump on Kickstarters right away as far as like doing my own. I did one Wonder Duck a couple of years ago. It went great. You know what I mean? Made a decent amount of money, and I was able to produce the next book, and that's it. But I haven't been back on it. Why? Because I realized that you need that fan base. Now, people say, well, you should have gone, you know, you had the momentum. Why not just keep going? And I just, well, number one, again, the writer, got to get the product ready. I don't want people wait around too long. They forget about it, right? But you, again, it's about building that fan base. Now, I wonder what that fan base looks like now. I wonder if I came back now and put something else out there, what that would look like. But again, the last one, before I came on, it was live, not live, but the pre-launch page was up for like 6 months before I launched. Like I really went crazy with it. You know what I mean? Like it was a long time before I got out there. But yeah, man, it's all about the demand, dude. You got to have the demand. You got to have the people that are salivating for it. They want it. They want it. They want it.
Yes.
And then you can do what you want to do. Look at Brian Pulido, right? The demand is there. Look at Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane says he's going to do something, and people are like, when? When can we get this? Because they're ready. They're ready for it.
Right.
So, you know.
Well, and because he's the first in a lot of the categories, right? You know, he's the first independent. You know, he's got how many issues now? 500. I don't know how many issues. Like he keeps breaking the record for the first independent to do exec, right? He's the one who convinced the team to start Image. He's the first one to break into toys, right?
He started as
he's the one who changed the toy.
Artist.
He changed the comic game. He changed the toy game, and
he changed the toy game. He changed the toy game
and the comic game.
He didn't do it by himself. We always had the discussion. Todd McFarlane did not do it by himself. He did not do it by himself.
What happened? So he did. Because he started with Spider-Man with the webbing. He changed the game. Right?
He did not change the game. He changed webbing on Spider-Man.
Doesn't matter. It changed the game. It created a fan frenzy, bro. Give him his props, bro.
Listen.
Give him his flowers, bro. Give him his flowers.
I'll give him his flowers for the toy game, no doubt. We wouldn't even argue that. Game. We wouldn't even argue that. That no doubt about but the comic book game. Let's bring it back a little bit. Let's bring it back a little bit. I don't know about all that. Yes. But the other thing with Todd is yeah, he says something and they buy it. But a lot of that too, remember, he was, he worked with Marvel, you know what I mean? Well, some of the most iconic characters, Spider-Man, like it's over. Like, so yeah, he built a fan base that way. But once he built the fan base though, and that's where his brilliance comes in. Once he built that fan base, he knew how to keep them going. Like, okay, what else can I give this fan base? What's missing? What's missing? Okay, let me do these toys. Articulation in these toys. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Realism, make them look like the actual characters. All right, let's do that.
I mean, you think of what he's done with Spawn and all the different versions, Gunslinger Spawn, Hell Spawn, all these different versions of Spawn, right? Then he was smart when he did the Kiss Cycle Circus, short run, right? That was great licensing. That he did to drive an audience, the rock game into comics, right? I think where he did with the Sam and Twitch series, which tapped into another audience, right? So I think everything that he's done. I mean, what he did with Spawn the animated series, right? No one's ever seen anything like that when he produced that Spawn series, right? So but what he's smart enough for every couple of years, he reinvents himself. Yeah. He doesn't stay stagnant, right? He finds a way to tap into the current market and tap into what's happening, and he somehow capitalizes on that momentum, right? He's smart enough. He's learned. I mean, he attributes a lot of it to the mentoring that he got from Stan Lee, right? So the guy is savvy. He's business savvy, right? No, he has a business plan, which is why he's the longest running independent in the game that he's got longevity and he's still killing it, right? So I think that's what it is. You need a business plan and you need to start off with a demand. If there's no demand, you just end up with inventory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And your wife hitting you over the head with her heels saying, I can't make goulash because you spent all the money on that action figure, right? It's like, come on. Right? It's like, no. It's like,
True, man. It's true, bro.
now she's gonna start
It's
hacking
true.
all your comics and selling it right to on eBay to try to make the money back.
On
You know,
eBay. I have to stop this stuff on eBay, bro.
This is Sangano, toma, right? So, but it, so I just think, I think we shared this information and we shared these stories not to scare anybody, not to put pause, but to evaluate your current position and be honest. Aspirational versus reality are two different things.
Yeah. So all right. So you, Sam, for example, if you were to do a comic, right? Wait, hold on. And your wife hitting you over the head with a chancleta. if you were to say, for example, decide to do launch a toy line for Duty, right? What you're saying is you would go into full market research mode.
Yep.
Right. It wouldn't be a thing of like, oh, hey, I have a comic book that's selling decent. Let me go make some toys and spend a lot of money doing it. You're saying, no, slow down, see what the demand is, which is what the prototypes are for. Because I think that those are great at shows to show off, right?
Yeah.
Prototypes and stuff like that. But the funny thing about that too is that people be like, oh man, this is great. If this was a toy, I'd buy it. Then you make it a toy and they don't buy it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right?
So you gotta be careful with that too.
It's really, for me, it's just to get feedback, from the audience that I'm marketing my comic book, my character, my brand to, but it's more for the starting conversations with buyers, distributors, manufacturers, right? So it's that's the audience that I want to tap into and understand that market and its potential, right? So for me, if I, Sam, the crazy man Vera, said I'm going to get into the toy game today, that means the next 9 to 12 months, I'm doing market research. The next 5 to 12 months, I'm going to toy shows. I'm walking into toy stores. I'm calling buyers. I'm going and I'm checking out the market. What's the current trend? Does this have the same kind of appeal? I'm going to do all that analysis first.
But see, I think that if you did do that, you probably wouldn't do it because you'd find that it's not there yet.
Right. So for me, I need to educate myself before I go in to jump in the sandbox. Right. And because you got to treat it. I mean, it's a huge investment. You gotta treat it as such. Right.
Yeah,
you need
Johnny,
to have that
look
return.
What I got for you, brother. Look what I got for you.
Look at that box, man. What's in the box?
We got to get together. I got to give you that, Johnny. I got to give you that. Now, guys,
if I had $1 for every person who loved my vinyl toy but didn't buy it, I wouldn't have a basement full of them. Yeah.
Well, so good point, Daph. Like, you know what this is about. You know how that goes. You put something together. You buy a bunch of them, and you think, yeah, these are gonna sell because people at shows were like, yeah, I buy that, and then you make it, and it's like, you said you would buy it. What happened?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's just like, I mean,
it's like 10 or 15 people.
Everybody's finicky, right? So even like at the convention, right? I got 70 different prints, and someone come, hey, if you had Duty as this, I'd buy it today. Well, I got 70, homeboy. I was like, come on, right? So it's like, don't give me that. So it's like,
now go ahead. Is what?
Go.
No, I was gonna say a lot of it too is price point, right? Because they said they'll buy it, right? But in their mind, I'll buy it for $5. I'll buy it for whatever. Meanwhile, it's costing you $25 to make them. So you gotta sell it for $40, or you gotta sell it for at least $30, whatever the hell you're gonna sell it for. Now they look at it and be like, oh, you got it. How much is it? It's $45. What?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to buy that. Because in their mind, they would buy it for $5. So you gotta be careful with that too, because the cost of these things is not cheap. You know what I mean? It's definitely not cheap. What you pulling up, Sammy? What you got? Research?
I'm like, you
got numbers.
You know that so for example, we talking about demand, right? I was talking to two guys that went to the card show, right? Because they're big Pokemon collectors.
Oh,
right. And they said the kind of money they would spend a couple of years ago versus now it's different, right? Before they would drop $400-$500, whatever, to get the card that they wanted, right? Now it's anywhere between 30 to 150, right? So they're being very conscious, even though they're true collectors, right? So they're like, I'm more, because if I'll go and I'll say, this is my budget, I'm gonna take $1,000 to a Pokemon card, and I want to come home with at least 5 to 7 cards for $1,000, right? There's a demand. There's 200,000 distinct Pokemon cards.
Oh,
200,000, right? So
damn.
this is, what I'm saying, 200,000 distinct Pokemon cards. It's crazy.
Holy
Crazy,
cow.
right? So it's $1 billion
What?
empire, right? But these guys, they're not looking at that. They understand the value of the cards because there's a built-up demand for it, right? It has the marketing, the potential, all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? So the fan base are willing to spend the money. They're not willing to spend the money on an unknown that produced a character that they don't even know if it's going to be worth anything.
Yes.
Because they're looking at investments. Just like we're looking to make money on our investment, they're looking to make long-term. They're collecting those Pokemon cards as that's their retirement. That's their kids' college fund.
Right.
Whatever it is, they're saying this is money in the bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want somebody, you're pricing your action figures at $50. When I can go and get a Pokemon card for $50 today, it's going to be worth $200 tomorrow, and yours is not going to add value. It's just going to look good. I'm going to go over there, right? So those are the things you have to take into consideration when you're making those investments. They want to buy. Oh yeah, everybody wants to buy that. If I had to start pricing up my comic book covers, right? Because the cost of printing has gone up, shipping has gone up, right? Everything has gone up. So I had to raise my prices at the conventions. If I priced it at $5, they eat it up. But when I raise the price, they're not eating up as much, right? So, but it's at a risk, right? But it's also for me to gauge, right? Which is why once I priced up the individual copies, my graphic novels sold more. Because they go, well, you know what? I can get the graphic novel and get all of them at this price. That means I'm going to be saving. So I'm going to get this, right? So it's psychological, but it's because I don't have that mass appeal. I do have a small audience, but that audience is not going to convince me to invest $20,000 to produce something because not all of them is going to buy it, right? I don't have that kind of foundation.
No.
So I'm smart enough to know that's not the route I'm going for. I still have a long ways to get that demand that's going to justify.
Yeah.
And for me, I want the demand in the comics and the character to attract the right investors to say, hey, we're going to help take that to the next level. Well, this way it's not coming out of my pocket.
It caught, no, but see, and this is what we talked about this too before. It's like, yes, you want the investors, right? This is where it gets scary, right? You fall in love with your character because you created it, right? And the whole journey is to get an investor, somebody, so that, like you said, it's not coming out of your pocket. What happens when that investor gets involved, though, if you don't get the right investor, he wants to start changing things. And he thinks, or she thinks, they think they have control over what gets produced, what gets done, because it is their money that's being invested into it. And so then we have to think, okay, how much are we willing to give up? You know what I mean? For this investor's money to take me to the next level. And these are the questions that we, obviously not, I don't know if you guys have had to answer. Sam, if you've had to answer them yet, I haven't had the opportunity to have to answer those questions. But I know that I probably would be thinking like, damn, I don't know if I can give that up that quickly.
So for me, if I start getting investor interest, right? Then I start shopping it around to see if there's other interest, right? Then I go and find the right representation that understands that market to be able to speak for me and negotiate on my behalf based on the terms that I'm looking for. I'm not going to go and sit at a table with these business people who are sharks and they have a way of, their trickery and all that stuff. I'm going to have somebody who's at that same level that has a good track record, that's going to see the appeal and is going to represent me and say, this is what we're looking to secure, right? So this way I don't have to waste my time on going through all that stuff. And you need that consultant that someone's going to go and support you on that foundation. So for me, it's like I get the interest first, then I go and I pull up my database because I have a database of legals that I would use if when the time comes. And that's like, okay, look, I got this interest, blah, 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 and then part of that investment is they make money off of the deal. So I'm not paying the representation until they secure the deal. So they're making money off of the deal. So there's in their best interest to make sure I get the best deal possible based on my terms. So that's the other part, right? But that's
the
long
other
game
part, bro. That's the other part. What once you get there, it's like, you got to be able to talk that talk too.
Yeah.
You
right.
gotta
So you want
you
to be an A player that knows that arena, that has that foundation, that network. They're going to be trusting that person because they know that person represents the X, Y, and Z. All right, yeah, we'll talk to you, Bob. We know that you represented this guy and that guy and that guy. We really like this guy. How can we make this work? Well, he doesn't want to lose his rights, right? Blah, 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 all right. So whatever it is, and they do what they have to do in the back end. But for me, that's just as important too. That's why I do licensing expo. That's why I did those things, because I built a database of these licensing experts that in the event that I do have that interest, I could say, hey, Tony, remember we met, we talked about this, blah, blah, blah. I have some interest. Hey, and then we start that conversation.
I think what you also have to be, also have to be honest with yourself and decide what are you willing to change about a character or add to a character or whatever it is, because there are going to be things that, whether it's story wise or look wise, name wise or whatever, they may say, listen, we love it, we want it, but if you just did this, we'll give you this amount of money for it, right? And so then you have to decide, okay, how important is that to me to change that, to change this for it? Because again, that's one thing. If there's a demand, if there's a demand, obviously you have the leverage, and negotiation is all about leverage. It's all about leverage. That's all it is. Who's got the leverage? That's what negotiation is about, right? So if you don't have the leverage, and the leverage in this case is multiple people wanting to buy your stuff, you may have to either say no and keep it moving until the next one, or say, all right, you know what? All right, fine. Change the color of their hair. It's fine. I don't care. That's fine. That's the make or break deal. I'm okay. I'll live with that. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's like you said, long game. Long game.
Yeah,
it's something you have to also
I think,
keep in mind.
Yeah, I think you control what you can control, right? The publishing, I have full control of that, of the direction of the storyline, all that stuff, right? Someone's interested in doing a film, then that you got to give, because that's an arena that you're not the expert on, and they have a history of success with previous brands. Then you're gonna take their feedback and trust some of the recommendations, and you're gonna make some concessions, right? That's part of the game, right? But I think the one thing that you can't control, because it's at least like something for me, because I'm the artist and writer, I can control the direction of the comic book, and that never has to change. It's the same thing like with comics and film, right? You've seen that some of the comics, the film didn't really connect with the storyline, right? But it still had market appeal, and they're still telling another version of the story, but with twists, right? You gotta giving, you have to give a little to get a little. That I understand, right? Play in your sandbox. For me, creative control means keep the pureness of the character as close to the origin as possible. Everything else is up for negotiation. But I think that's the biggest thing. But everyone has to come to terms with what they want and what they don't want. And if you ask me if I was in my 20s, I'd be like, hell no, I'm standing firm. You ask me now, I'm like, you know what? I'm flexible, right? I'm flexible. I'm
What hue of green do you want? Like, that's not changing. I mean, back in the day, you're like, no, he's green. All right.
Yeah, I'm flexible now. I'm not as stubborn as it used to be, right? So, and it's because I'm also looking at tomorrow's not promised, and one of the things I like to do before God taps me on the shoulder, says your time has expired, Sam. It's time to go home. I want to know that I've done something really big with with my passion, whatever that looks like. So, when we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. But I mean, I think definitely, I think the smart way to go is prototypes, right?
Yeah.
Just to give people or investors a taste of what this could look like.
Yeah.
So if you do produce a prototype of your comic book character, show it off at every con, and when people say, hey, is that for sale? No, not yet. I mean, if there's enough demand, it can be. Let me get your email address. I'll keep you posted on what happens. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think there's ways to create interest in what you're doing, but without spending all the money. I think that prototypes are a great way to do that.
Yeah.
And then when you think you're ready, hey, listen, if you think you're ready, go for it. But know that the perils and the pitfalls and all that other stuff that could possibly happen, because you don't know that world yet, right? Especially if you're an indie creator of comics, you obviously don't know the world unless you came from that world, unless you came from video games, okay, unless you came from toys and all that other stuff and ventured into comics. Then obviously you know that world, so you know how that works. But if you don't, if this is all you've done, if you're an accountant by day, comic book creator by night, you know what I'm saying? Police officer by day, firefighter by day, or whatever, or you probably don't know the market as far as toys go. And what that entails, and who's going to buy, and buyers, and you know what I mean, all that other stuff.
And remember, look at your current standing, right? Data doesn't lie, right? The data doesn't lie. If you're struggling to make your investment back just from comics, if you're struggling to make your investment backs and you don't have that conversion, right? Just from comics, there's your data. Don't try to convince yourself that this is going to change the game.
It doesn't work in comics, but it'll work in toys. I know.
Right. It's like, thank you, Toys R Us, for coming back into the game, right? They just opened one in Dallas, Texas, right? So thank you, Toys R Us, for coming back and, bringing back that nostalgic back. Thank you that we're able to say Merry Christmas now when we couldn't say it before, right? Because we need that emotional connection to that, right? There's no emotional connection to toys. Right now, they're looking at it as investments. The mind shift has changed. It's Bitcoins, it's long-term investments. Right? Is your product fit that narrative? Does your product fit that narrative? Right? Especially in this social media age, that you have a small window, especially with toys. Who are you marketing to? What's the age group? And you have a small window because habits change and trends change and people change quickly. Right? And so you have a small window to capitalize on that market. Do you really have a strategy, or you were relying on your own website and doing shows? Because that's not going to make it. Especially when you drop 20 bills, right? At minimum. So I think those are the things. Be honest with yourself. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be aspirational. It's okay to have big dreams, but dreams only become reality when you put into work, and the work requires you to be honest and do the homework and hit the streets. And you got to build that network, just as you're trying to do with consumers. You have to build the network in the industry with the people, the decision makers, right? And the people that are going to help get your product to the right hands in the right market. And that's the stuff that creators don't want to do, right? There's an assumption that it's just going to come to our doorsteps.
I mean, I won't say all. I think there is.
There's a large percentage.
I think a lot of it, and this is going to sound terrible, but a lot of it, I think, is just ignorance, right? It's like we don't know. We don't know. Like, being ignorant means you don't know. Not trying to diss anybody. Right. I'm saying, like, there's ignorance, right? We just don't know. A lot of them don't know. Some of them are just, it's just cockiness and bravado and I can do this. You know what I mean? But in some cases, you just don't know what you don't know, and so you step into it. Like when I met you, bro, and we started doing this thing, I had no idea what this was about. But I said, let me go do it because I've always loved comics. I want to create my own stuff. Let's do it. I had no idea about printing and 11 by 17 sheets of paper back then, and Photoshop and all that. I had no idea. I just wanted to create comics. It wasn't until I got into it that I realized, oh man, there's a lot more to this than just I want to do it. Mm-hmm. And there was my ignorance, right? Ignorance is bliss, right? So once I realized what got into it, now it's like, all right, I guess I gotta work. Because if you want to do this, if you love this, to Wes's point, got to work for it. You have to. And it's not about the money, man. I even looked at doing keychain plushies, and I couldn't justify the cost of just manufacturing 300 pieces only to be able to sell 100.
Yeah, I mean, a
lot of decisions are based on that.
I've done the tchotchke stuff, right? I've done enamel pins, I've done keychains, I have buttons, and what I find is I don't have a demand for those novelty items. What I have a demand for is my art. in my prints and my stickers and my bookmarks and my trading cards. There's a demand for that because it's my artwork and there's an appeal to it. Those, for some reason, I don't have that same conversion with those things. So I know, all right, those are one-time investments. Once I sell through, I'm not going to do that again, right?
Which ones? Which ones?
My the enamel pins.
Oh, enamel pins.
And the keychains and the buttons, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that again, right? All right. So it was my way of saying, is there a market for this? Do they find this as just as appealing? And I found that no, I don't have that same response that I do with everything else.
Yeah. You also, I think it's about the cost too, right?
Yeah.
It's about, okay, how much is that going to cost me to Daphne's point too? How much is that going to cost me? Because stickers and trading cards and those things, the cost of those are low enough where even if you don't sell the amount you want to sell, you can still make back what you invested if you sold half of what you produced, right? So the cost is that when you're talking about bigger things, when you're talking about like, you know, enamel pins or manufacturing, what is it called? Keychain plushies. The cost of those things is a lot more. And you would have to sell a lot more to justify, like she says, you know, selling what you're going to sell. So you also have to look at that. It's like, all right, how much is this going to cost me and can I move it? You know, prints are great for that. Prints, you know, as much as the cost of money is, one print can, you know, is very cost effective. You know, you can flip that for, you know, a lot less. That's why and I know John's still watching. I don't do t-shirts. I don't do t-shirts, bro. Because the thing with t-shirts too is that it's not one size fits all. I have to produce small, medium, large, extra large, double XL, baby tees, whatever. I got to produce a whole bunch, and I don't know which one is going to sell more of. So I have to have enough inventory for everything, because the last thing I want is for somebody to come to the table and be like, hey, I like that, man. You got it in a double XL? I do not. Now what happens? But I got 15 smalls. I got 35 mediums. Nah, he's a double XL. Can't sell it. I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you're making it a very generic character, it's not worth the investment. And even then, you still need the audience.
You still need an audience. That's the bottom line. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, you know, Kickstarters. I haven't figured out the magic potion, the magic pill for Kickstarter, right? I do better at a convention than I do on Kickstarter, right? I've been fortunate. My goals on Kickstarter, but they've been painful to try to make those goals, right? So for me, it's like, that's why I don't think I did any last year, right? This year, right? So I didn't do one Kickstarter this year.
But that's a good example, Sam. That's a good example of, you know, you took a chance.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Without it, I mean, how much homework did you do in it when you did the first one? It was like, let me see what happens here. You know what I mean? Let me throw it in there and see what happens. So there are things that you're going to do that, right? But again, it's about how much is it going to cost you. And if you knew, I mean, now you're talking about doing something else for next year. You said, I'm going to finish the book before I put it out, because you don't want the year to go by without it. So you learn from that. But you want to do other things on Kickstarter, right? And you haven't mentioned that, so we're going to talk about it. But again, that's research, right? Yep. That's like, damn, is it worth doing? Because not because it's going to, I'm not saying even that because it could fail, just because of the stress, the mental stress it puts on you. Is it even worth it if it's not even your comic book? You understand what I'm saying? If it's not your story you're trying to tell, is it even worth the stress to do it? If you say yes, then do it. If you don't care, do it, bro. Go for it. It's a little extra money.
Well, one of the things do it. To that, what I'm doing is I'm doing a prototype, and then I'm going to take it with me to shows, and I'm going to put a survey out. I'm going to show it on my art channel and on social media, and say, would you support this? Right. And I'm going to build that. Right. So sign up if you would support this. Right. So, and if I get more than 100 people to say, then I'll do it. Right. So this is how I'm going, so this is one of the things.
Because out of those 100, you know how the percentage work, right? How many?
No, but I'm not going to create a landing page. I'm going to say,
no. I'm talking about even in your research.
Yeah.
There's always a percentage. It's not 100 people are going to go for it. It's always going to be a percentage of them that is going to do it.
Right. You know so I want to build, that demand. So I'm going to travel with it. I'm going to say, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. If you do, here, hit this QR code, sign up. Right. To be notified if I do. If I break this number, then I'll do it. Those are the things. So for me, it's about doing the homework, engaging the market.
Yeah, you showed Wes's comment. He said, I need fat boy size.
Yeah, I did.
Haven't tried if you haven't failed. I be rocking my shameless plug. Oh yeah, with the Jumpmans. Yeah, those colors. Dig this combo. The toys that really sell are tied to strong characters and great stories. So that's where the focus should be first.
Yeah.
Like you've been saying all night, when the demand is there, then it makes sense to branch out into things like toys. Yeah, because toys are so expensive, bro. Like they're so expensive.
And if you're gonna
to make a good toy,
and if you're gonna make that investment, then pay a consultant or somebody in the field to be able to do the things to get you the information and provide you with that, right? Maybe they do market research for your character and see if there's an audience for you, right? Have somebody, if you don't want to do it and you're willing to pay that money, then spend a little more money to get somebody's going to do that research for you and bring you the data. So that way you can make an informed decision.
Yeah. I mean, the crowdfunding game, when you think about what Kickstarter is, it's in the name. It's there to kickstart a project, right? So you figure that Kickstarter is the place to take it to see if it's even viable or should even be done. So if something like that can't be crowdfunded or kickstarted that way, then maybe you just need some more time to build that fan base before you even go back to it. You know what I mean? And continue to do what you're doing with your books or whatever it is.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. I mean, I'm all for using Kickstarter for what it's there for, which is to kickstart a project. I'm all for it. I don't think people should stop doing that. I just think that when you go into like, all right, I do comics and I want to do something else and I want to do that, you really, like you said, you have to do that research and you have to make sure that the fan base is there or the demand is there for you to be successful. Because again, it's the stress, man. It's the mental stress of having a campaign not go the way you want it to go.
Yeah,
that kills, man. That kills. But if you're okay with it, then go for it. If you're not, though, it's tough.
Not, hurt yourself. I think that's don't set yourself up for grief.
Yeah. Daphne says too many people want to skip steps. They want to be Polito in 2 years when it took them 40. Word. People think Polito did this thing overnight. Oh, in 2020, the pandemic hit and Polito was hitting numbers. Polito's been around for years.
Forever.
He's been around forever. So this isn't a character that just came out of nowhere with the boobs. She's been around. You know what I mean? He's been building this fan base for a long time. So yeah. Good point.
I mean, anything he does generates money, right? So because he's built that following, he's been consistent, right? High quality. He gets a lot of variant cover artists that with big name followings or whatever. There's a demand for his product. I mean, he's and so he's a byproduct of doing the work, right?
Yeah.
Like Wes said, you got to put in the work. Don't make any false assumptions. If you're going to invest in an arena, get a consultant in that arena. Get somebody with a great resume, with a track record, with the resources that's going to guide you and help you make the right decisions. Don't just go it alone. And I know it's tough sometimes, right? Because we all want to. I mean, what person who's a creative in this game doesn't want their own toy line? Everybody does. I do. Right? But we have to be realists at the same time too, right? Unless you're born with a silver spoon and you have unlimited wealth, right? You have disposable income that you can just go and blow it, and you're not going to feel the pain, the pinch. Then do whatever you want, take the risks. But if you don't, and every penny counts, and you're hoping that this helps provide another form of an income and it offsets all of your investment costs, then you owe it to yourself to be responsible, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, and I've been seeing a lot on social media, and I'm like, just me. I'm like, come on, guys, do you understand this? Have you done this? Have you done this? And it's just like, hey, I ain't gonna, stop your game or none of that stuff. Do what you're gonna do at the end of the day, but you gotta look yourself in the mirror and you gotta own the results of it, and then you gotta ask yourself, did I do everything I needed to do in order to make this work?
Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest thing.
And the thing is, don't get upset. I mean, get upset, but don't lash out when it doesn't work out.
Don't lash out, bro. Dude, I made a huge licensing expo, right? I thought it was the same arena as it was when we did it back in the days. I made that investment and I realized the whole game changed. And had I done my research, I would have paused on that investment and I would have waited a few years, right? I would have gone and done more homework and made some connections offline and then gone, right? But I didn't do that, right? So we all learn from those things, right? But I got enough data and I made enough connections with some people that in the event that something does happen, I know who to contact, right? And because I've already built those connections. So there's one positive aspect to it. But with that same arena, I had people who were interested in the product, but I wasn't willing to compromise. There were too many requests that I couldn't tolerate. Right.
Yeah,
So
and then it's not your product anymore, right?
Yeah.
At that point, it's just not. What's the point?
Yeah.
Like what's the point of doing this?
And so I'm very protective of what I'm doing, but because it's me, it's an extension of me. But again, if you're gonna do it, play it smart, man. You owe it to yourself. Do some homework, watch podcasts, get insight from people who've made those investments. Daphne Lage, great example, right? So she's been trying to offload a lot of it as well. So reach out to her. What did she learn from this experience, right? You have people who have actually done it before you, right? And they're willing to share. They talk about it on their podcast, on their shows, right? They've talked about the experience. They don't hide it. Just go to the shows, reach out and say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Anything I should consider, right? Don't let your ego get the best of you. And accept what's going to come with it, because you're going into an arena that requires a whole different set of skills, bro.
Yeah.
Whole different set of skills. And if you don't have those skills and you don't understand that market, geez, don't do it. Don't do it.
No lo hagas.
Yeah, man. It's scary out there, and I feel for some people. And I'm like, I want to see people win. I'm always big.
Man. I'm always gonna support, our guys and our girls when they're doing their thing, man. I'm always gonna support. And listen, and we learn from them too. Just like, and this is what this is.
We have stories. Just go through our database. We share all these stories. Watch the Craze and 10 or Less. We talk about a lot of these things, right? So there's a lot of history and best practices and tales to avoid and things to avoid and things to consider. Do the homework, and get as many opinions as possible. Don't just stick to your family, because your family's gonna say, "Oh yes, mijito, it's beautiful. Yes, you're going to be successful." Right? Nah, man. It's like they're gonna tell you everything you want to hear.
Yeah.
Go to the audience that's gonna be straight. Nah, man, I'm not interested in that, bro. Yo, nah. Thanks for sharing, but I'm gonna go over there and get me a Pokemon card. Right? I'm out. Pew. Oh wait, there's David Finch. I'm gonna get an original piece from him.
I gotta. People are spending like tons of money for the chance to get one card in a set. That's gonna be worth whatever, and they may not get it. They're willing to take that chance, dude. I've been rewatching your convention vlogs.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I got one coming out in about a week. So the one from San Antonio, that one, everyone's got to watch.
Which one?
That's us.
No,
Oricon, bro.
Really?
Yes.
It's
coming out in a week. Everyone's gonna want to watch this one. So it's it was the best of times and the worst of times, right? So
it was the worst.
Yes, it was the
best times were after the con, just hanging out. The four of us kind of going out there and doing that. Those were fun. The bad parts are the
convention. It was no bueno.
Bad business.
I mean, when you got people on a Saturday and on Friday packing up and
so you're going to be at Texoma, right?
Yeah.
In February. Okay. You got your table already? You all set?
Yeah, I got the table. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, because I'm gonna take a little ride. What is it? February. So I'm gonna have to book a flight, kid. Wait. How do we do it? I flew into Texas last year. Yeah, and then we drove, right?
Yeah, I picked you up at the airport and we drove out there.
That's what I think that'll be the same thing. I think this year maybe.
So are you definitely coming?
Yeah. I'm gonna.
All right, because the hotel that I'm getting is 10 miles from the event, because it's cheaper, but it's on a lake. So I'm like, yo, it's on a lake. It's Camp Crystal Lake. Freddie's gonna be there. Jason's gonna be there. So
stay tuned for that vlog. Stay tuned for that
one. So it's gonna be on a lake. We got an outdoor patio.
Oh my!
It's gonna be legit.
You're like,
I was like, yo, it's cheap. I was like, yo, so so we'll
Oh,
see if there's any corpses and dead bodies. But
shit.
I was like, yo, it's gonna be fun.
Oh my God.
Everything, yo, they jacked up the prices
That's
for the
right.
area. I'm like, you
'Cause
crazy?
they know what's up. That thing's about
Yeah.
to get freaking really good.
Yeah. So I was like, nah, hell no. And I was like, oh, this is right on the lake. Oh, cool. It's 10 miles away.
Freaking funny, man. That's funny.
they're like log cabins almost.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, man. All right.
It's gonna be something interesting.
All
But,
right.
yeah.
Yo, so we have a show next week. I will be from a different location. I'll be up in Cali next week because it's the weekend, right? I mean the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah.
So who do we have next week?
Next week, Calendly. Oh, let me look at this phone.
Calendly. Yeah,
It's
make sure you
Calendly.
check it out. If you haven't subscribed to Sam's channel, it's The Art of Samuel, and if you haven't subscribed to mine yet, go to Get Your Meds on YouTube. Check us out on
Next
there.
week's the 26th. We got Mark Bell.
Mark Bell, cool. Yeah. So
Yes.
check that. We have some videos and stuff like that for you to check out. I have some live
Plague
videos.
Dr. Press.
Let me pay attention to what we're doing here. I'm trying to promote us over here, bro.
Oh, go ahead, bro.
Jesus Christ.
Promote this.
Make sure you check out the other side. He's got some cool vlogs there about setups at conventions and what he's learned at conventions. I'm doing some live conversations with some independent artists on my channel and Get Your Meds. And I also have a show about writing on this. So check that out. And now, okay, Sam, what were you saying? What were you trying to?
What was I saying? I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
What was I
So
saying?
next week, what do we got next week?
Oh, next week? No, I said
What was I saying? What was I saying? I don't remember.
I know, remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, hold on.
Oh man. See, I'm gonna try to fill the dead air, and then you're just gonna come in.
I'm putting the links.
Come in
That
hot.
is a masterclass of reinventing yourself in comics. Oh, Daphne, that's oh my god, I got butterflies. Thank you. Yeah, you know me. I that's the one thing I don't like staying. I gotta adjust based on what I'm seeing, and I adjust quickly. You know how I am, George. When I see I use a convention, I'm like, oh, what's not working? I gotta fix this, right? Oh, my table doesn't look. I look at everybody. I size everybody up, and so I gotta compete with that.
Dude,
I look at it. For me, I am inspired by all creatives, and I learn from everybody. And so because of that, it helps fuel me to try to, when I show up, to be in my best self at that moment when I show up. And then I go back, I do a postmortem, I reflect what worked, what didn't work, and then I go say, can I tweak this? Can I tweak that?
But that's what it is, right? And big shout out to Daph, because that's nice. Thank you, Daph. But Daphne's the same way, man. She's been doing her and JD, Calderon. They've been doing this for this long because they too reinvent themselves. They too realize. Look at what they're doing with Kickstarter, bro. She runs a Kickstarter. Yeah. They are Kickstarter masters. They just do what they do on Kickstarter, and they're out there every 2 months, maybe less. They have so many, things. So they too reinvent themselves. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only way to survive in this game. It's by doing that. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to see what's working. You have to, and be willing to change, dude. Because if you're gonna stay the same as you were 5-6 years ago, 2 years ago, you're not gonna last. You're not gonna freaking last, dude. You just not. Yeah, we gotta give you your flowers too.
And they're also both of you are great examples of consistency, right? You've been consistent, right? You have an audience that knows that you're going to deliver every time, and because of that consistency, you have stability and you're growing, right? And I think that's key too. So you have to deliver to your fans. You got to keep them, keep it coming. I think for me, because of the things I went through this past year. It slowed me down because I get nothing but, hey, when is this next issue coming out? Hey, when's that next? So I have to hold myself accountable to getting back into the rhythm that I had until this past year, where I lost my mojo, right? And that's what I've been doing. So I've just been grinding and putting in the work and building that up. And I had to supplement the fact that I wasn't getting the book out on a consistent basis with the art and the prints and the stickers. This way they had something in the meantime as I'm working towards another, right? So, which is why next week I start working on issue 7. I'm excited about it, right? So,
Michael, what are you doing?
oh my goodness, like, crazy. He just woke up.
What's going on here, dog? Where you been?
He made a left when he should have made a right.
What up, Mike? Thanks for stopping by, my friend.
But but lessons learned. We get better as we go, and and the game is competitive, right? I go to the, at the conventions, I see these girls that do anime, right? At Comic Cons, and they have a fan base. Their tables are always busy. Conversions always happening, right? They have a consistency there, right? And I'm like, damn. And they also have a YouTube channel, and they're very interactive on their social media and all these things, right? So you have to have multiple forms of connectivity to the audience that you're trying to build, right? How do you stay in contact with a lot of these consumers?
Yeah. I do my best to get here, my dudes. Miss you guys. Yeah, Mike, we miss you too, bro. I know it's tough. The schedules change, but thank you for stopping by, my brother. Yo, let's see what else. So big shout out to everybody who's watched. Daphne, big shout out to you. Mike, hey, listen, for those watching, Michael Martinez got a book called, when's the next issue coming out, bro? Technogods. Check out Technogods on YouTube, on what is it, on social media and all that other stuff. And we had a nice conversation tonight. What is it? Technogods.com. Yeah. Oh yeah, technogods.com, Mike. So yeah, the next issue is coming out soon. And but yeah, bro, no, this was good. Too bad. I mean, obviously we didn't have a guest tonight, but it was nice just to talk shop and again,
it was good.
This is a cautionary tale, right? This is what these things are. It's yeah, exactly.
Don't worry about these two knuckleheads. We're always gonna have our piece, right? We're like those two guys in the Muppets in the balcony, right? We're always gonna state our piece. You gotta do with what you gotta do with what you get, right? So do you? No one knows better than you, right? But do your homework too, right? I think Wes said it best, right? Put in the work. Put in the work.
Do the work.
Yes. And the work requires a lot of steps. But yeah, so with that said, thank you everybody who's been watching us. Thank you everybody in the audience tonight. If you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. Share it with a friend. Subscribe to the channel. We're the longest running independent comic book podcasters in the game. Founded in 2005. Going strong. This is episode 570. We do this because we believe in the independent community. We want to shine a light on the up-and-comers and the future creators of this game, but we can't do it without you. When we grow, the independent community grows. So please subscribe, share it with a friend, recommend it to anybody who's trying to break into the game as well. We appreciate you. And if you want to be on the show, the link is in the summary. You don't have to hit me up on social media. Just hit the link below.
Hit him up. Send a message.
I get 1,000. Yo, I said the link is in the show.
I said, good show, fellas. It wasn't as good as last week. Kids got jokes. Oh, Terry, thank you. Thank you, Lupons.
Yeah, but with that said, I'm Sam the Crazy Man, Vera.
George the Cuba Medina.
And we are. It's just easy. It's not.
Crazy. Acquiesce.
No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh,
he described me. He said, I'm the
what? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.